Hello everyone, how's it going? Adam here, and recently Little Nightmares 2 released to critical acclaim. Many fans have been enjoying the dark, twisted reality set in the Little Nightmares universe. Recently I did an Endings Explain, no commentary walkthroughs, and even explained the Hunter's origin. But today I will be discussing the various Easter eggs and hidden details you probably missed, specifically 10 of them. And if you find this video enjoyable in any way, please consider liking, subscribing, and watching my other videos. I have a ton of Little Nightmares content for the first and second game, and they're all linked below. And if it's not obvious already, this video will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled with this game, just click out of this video and come back to it later. Now, on to the video. One of the biggest reveals in Little Nightmares 2 is that Mono is actually the Thin Man imprisoned in the Signal Tower. However, the first time you enter the screen, if you look at the shadow, he actually resembles the Thin Man. There's actually another scene in the Little Nightmares DLC content for the first game where the boy encounters lots of little gnomes. If you shine a flashlight on the gnomes, it'll actually project an image of a small child. This was foreshadowing when the child would eventually get captured by the lady and turned into a gnome, where the player would find out that all the gnomes throughout the mall were actually children. Those who played the first Little Nightmares are well aware of the janitor who was seen gripping a television screen during one of the puzzle sequences. However, the song being played on the television can also be found in the school. When Mono obtains a head of one of the bullies, you can hear that the bullies are actually singing the same song heard on the television in the first Little Nightmares. When heading down into the morgue, before you meet the doctor, you'll actually see an array of masks on the wall. One of the masks belongs to the janitor from Little Nightmares 1, or resembles it heavily. Now, back in Little Nightmares 1, everyone was wearing these types of masks, but no one was really sure who was wearing a mask and who wasn't. Judging from the fact that this shows that these people were wearing masks confirms that they got these masks from the doctor, and seeing that the doctor basically butchers innocent people and turns them into mannequins, we can infer that all these masks are indeed made from human flesh. Now later on in chapter 4, you'll come to this roof area and you'll be able to climb up, but if you go behind it, there is a collectible in this room. Also, there's a lot of caged animals. However, inside one of the cages is this giant moth-like creature. Now, in the Little Nightmares universe, we haven't really seen any type of mutated animal. Most of the animals just act accordingly. But this creature just seems so big, like a giant moth, but it sounds like a bird. My guess is that the creatures may be going through some sort of hibernation due to the signal, and if this is anything to hint at, we may encounter much more deadly creatures, not just the humans. Until now, we've only seen humans affected by the signal, but the animals may be affected in other ways that we are not aware of fully. And to supplement this theory, we can actually find a picture of what appears to be a large moth in one of the drawings inside the hospital within the daycare. Now, these drawings definitely showcase different creatures drawn by children. We see the hunter, the doctor, the thin man, but we also see that giant moth, which means that creature could be dangerous. Now, we've already established through many videos that the people within the Pale City have succumbed to horrible fates, either being consumed by the signal, being turned into mannequins, or suicide as being one of the examples. However, the children has had similar horrible fates. If you go into the asylum, you can find this collectible in the back room, but you'll find a child who is trying to wait it out inside their cell, eating canned food and trying to avoid the patients. You can find tally marks scribbled all over the wall, similar to what Six did in the hunter's shack. And you can find out what happened to this child. When you grab the glitch, it doesn't provide you much, but you can see that the child was trying to dig a tunnel. Toss cheese down there and you'll get a trophy, and you'll hear thousands of rats down there. Apparently, the child tried to dig its way outside and unfortunately was cornered by rats and most likely eaten alive. Now, fans of H.P. Lovecraft knows that his work heavily deals with the idea of madness and elder gods, basically being so powerful that just looking at them can cause you to go completely mad. One of the most notorious creatures is Cthulhu, which is ironic because he's also one of the weakest ones. But either way, Cthulhu is synonymous when it comes to tentacles. And when you come to this back room, you'll find this asylum padded room where this victim is covered in tentacles. Now, for those who don't know, asylum rooms are usually secluded so they don't hurt other people, and it's also heavily padded so they can't hurt themselves, usually restrained in straitjackets. But the fact that this individual is in a bathtub covered in tentacles kind of hints to Cthulhu, so this could be an Easter egg. However, the Little Nightmares universe also deals heavily with the idea of madness and elder creatures, so it's likely that this could be more than just an Easter egg. It could be part of a Lovecraftian horror journey where we find out that everything that's happening here may be the result of an elder god. At least that would be awesome in my opinion. Like any other video game, Little Nightmares 2 has had cut content, and if you search carefully, you can find some figures within the game that are still present in the form of assets. One in particular is this figure within the school. You can find his photo here, and if you go through the concept art gallery provided to those who purchased the digital deluxe edition, you can see that this character was going to be a barber that Mono would have encountered in a barber shop. Another cut character you can find is actually still within the game, fully rendered. When you go into the cafeteria part of the game, you'll find the body of this individual. At first, it just seems like this individual was just put there and died, but in reality, you can find this asset within the digital deluxe edition concept art gallery and see that this was going to be a cafeteria lady that the player would have encountered. Most likely, Mono would have encountered this individual when going through the cafeteria instead of all the bullies, where he put on the bully mask in order to remain undetected. Now, I'm not certain about it, but when you look at the concept art, it does align to one another. They most likely had the character completely finished. Instead of just wasting the asset, they just shoved her somewhere. Have you ever wondered where the porcelain children came from, or who were they modeled after? After all, they are dolls, so they have to be modeled after someone. Going through the school, you'll find photos of the children who once lived at the orphanage, but we don't see any children. There are definitely hints that there's someone living in the school that is alive, so it's likely that the children are alive but are hiding within the walls. The reason I say this is because when you go through the library, you'll find a bunch of burning books. This is unlikely being done by the bullies. I mean, they are known for doing horrible things like setting traps and causing harm to one another, but burning books seems like something that someone trying to keep warm would do. And the reason I say that is because when we get to the room with the chess puzzle, you'll find what appears to be another porcelain child. Now, I say that because it looks just like a porcelain child in every way. But when you look closer, you'll notice that there are no cracks in the skin like it's being made of a easily breakable material. In fact, the eyes are closed. And as you can see here, when you're traveling through the cafeteria with a bunch of bullies around, their eyes remain stationary as they should. They are just made of porcelain. Even the doll that Mono kills still does not close their eyes. So this person is alive. This leads me to believe that there are still children alive around the orphanage, and they're using the various vents and closed areas to evade the teacher and the bullies. We have seen that there are areas that Mono and Six can use in order to evade the same creatures, the teacher and the bullies. So it's likely that the kids are still alive and are running around the school trying to remain hidden from the various creatures. It is clear that a lot of kids did try to make a break for it. We did use the sheet ladder in order to get into the orphanage, and that's likely what the kids used in order to escape. But it's just as possible that some of them are still running around the orphanage, because if they leave, they'll likely be attacked by either the hunter if they get too far into the forest, or the viewers. They're aware of the threats out there, and they're probably more comfortable being in an area that they're much more familiar with, even if it's as dangerous as we see here. Now, the bullies may seem to be violent monsters with no sense of what they're doing exactly, just causing chaos for the sake of chaos. We can see that that isn't entirely the case. They do have some sense of mimicking behavior from other creatures, specifically maybe other children. You see, you'll encounter two bullies that are doing something extremely weird. They're trying to wind up a frog. Now, on one side, that does seem very weird, but on the other hand, you have to ask yourself, where did they learn this type of behavior? It's not like they have wind-up toys anywhere around them, and they're clearly only limited to the school surrounding. So it may seem that the kids are aware of certain aspects of being a child. They have that sense of creativity and individualism to learn things, and maybe they saw these types of wind-up toys and decided to think they could do that with the frogs, trying to bring it back to life. I just thought it was a really cool detail and wanted to make note of that and make you all aware that the bullies aren't just one-hit pranksters. They actually have other animations that you should probably look out for. Now, this is actually pretty interesting. While I firmly believe that Little Nightmares 2 is a prequel, I argued this in my ending explained, when you get to the signal tower and see the distorted 6, you can notice that there are two things that seem out of place. First is that photo of that woman with the face scratched out. That is the lady, and we see that at the end of Little Nightmares 1, and that suitcase is also from Little Nightmares 1. That is the suitcase where 6 wakes up after she gets to the mall, so it seems a little strange that those things are here. Until you realize about the closed loop. Remember, the signal tower is simply a frequency. It bends reality, which means it's basically just showcasing what's up for 6. 6 is going to encounter the lady, which is why the face is scratched out, and she's also going to use that suitcase in order to get to the mall. And with that brings us to the end of this video. If you found any of these facts, Easter eggs, or interesting details, well, fun, I would love if you would leave a like in the video. This take. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun. I did enjoy making this video a lot because I love searching for this stuff. If you found it entertaining as well, consider leaving a like, subscribing. If you want to go the extra mile, consider joining. And of course, write a comment below what's your favorite Easter egg, detail, or just general fact of Little Nightmares 2. Did you like the game? Did you hate it? What did you really think about this incredible title? I mean, I loved it because that's why I called it incredible. Also, check out the rest of my Little Nightmares content. It is in the description below. A no commentary walkthrough, all boss fights for both games, and an ending explain if you're confused about anything about the title. So, till next time everyone, thanks for joining me. Stay awesome.